Good morning, everybody. Morning, my time, whatever it is your time. I hope you've had a good day. If it's later in the day, I hope your day is going well. If it's the morning or afternoon or whatever, I don't know if anybody would be in the middle of the day, probably because that'd have to be in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, I think, if I remember correctly. But I don't know. I'm not great at time zones, so um, that's one of the things I try to avoid when I'm writing code is dealing with time zones. So hopefully nobody's offended by me not calling out the right time zone for you. But yeah, I know. Oh, it's 14. Okay, 4 o'clock in the United Kingdom. Awesome. So I guess it is kind of mid afternoon. It depends. It depends on how old you are. If you're an old person like me, then that's kind of closer to nighttime than it is mid afternoon. So I'm thinking like noon, 1, maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know. So 4 o'clock or 1600 is definitely that's getting closer to the evening time for old people like me. So anyway, hopefully you guys are doing well. Good to see you all jumping in the chat already. Welcome Ming, welcome Mel, the two M's, Eminem here this morning. So good to see you all this morning. So let's see. Oh, it's a Saturday too, so that makes sense. I was gonna say, well, you have Taekwondo in the middle of the day. That's crazy. But I guess on a Saturday, it's not as not as big of a deal. That's awesome. I have never done anything. I know this is shocking, but I've never done anything with martial arts. Me and my sports prowess, obviously. The closest I get to sports these days is, or anything really physical, is watching football. So that's about it. Thanks, Ming. If you just send me over some forms, I'd appreciate it. Just something simple that I can work out. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you have to be pretty flexible to do stuff like that. I think I'm not a very flexible person, and I'm not really that interested in putting in the work. See, that's the problem. At the end of the day, anytime you want to change, here's a tidbit for you for the morning. Anytime you want to change in your life, you have to be willing to put in the effort and the work to get that change. And I'm not willing to do that for martial arts. So there you go. I've got a lot of boards in my garage. They might be too thick though. Don't they have to be kind of thin? I don't. Maybe it's just because I'm weak. I don't know. I would expect something thinner. Yeah, sometimes that works that way, Mel, where your schedule just kind of it's easier to fit learning into maybe an evening or something like that. In the weekends are just too busy for things. So absolutely. That is something I will not be doing, Ming. I will not be practicing anything physical on the live stream. It's bad enough that if we reach our 5,000 subscriber goal, I'll be cooking on the live stream. That's a bad enough proposition right there. Let alone doing anything physical in nature. That would not be nobody wants to see that. Let's just be honest. All right. So anyway, good to see you guys here this morning. If you are watching live, welcome Ali. Good to see you. If you are watching live, jump in the chat. As you can hopefully tell, we like to interact here as much as we possibly can. So feel free to jump in the chat, say hello. If you have questions while you're in the chat, simply tag like at DevMentorDave or leave a bunch of question marks or do something that'll kind of catch my attention because if you've been around very long, you know that I tend to monologue a lot. I'm a very surprisingly enough, I would consider myself somewhat introverted, but in certain settings, I can be verbose and extroverted. So, so there you go. Uh oh. Ming's calling me out on the title. What are we cooking today? We're cooking code. We're moving forward. That's what I mean. We're I don't know where that term comes. Let's see where that term comes from. Let's see if anybody knows. The phrase "now we're cooking with gas." I guess that's really the right term. Now we're cooking with gas, not just now we're cooking. Originated in the 1930s and 40s as a slogan by the American Gas Association to promote gas stoves over electric stoves. Oh, that makes perfect sense actually. My wife actually prefers um, gas over electric too, so gas is better. There you go. Um, Ming thinks it's a British term. It depends. It maybe depends on how far you go. Like cooking with gas seems to be an American slogan for a gas company or an association. I don't know. Maybe just now we're cooking. Maybe that part of it's British. I don't know. Who knows? I just go with what Google said. Yeah, well, they were Mel. It wasn't just the wood stoves; it was electric. Electric moves pretty quickly, but even then, they didn't have the glass tops like we have. It was just the metal coils, and you would stick your stuff on top of the metal coils. So, um, yeah, I'm sure it still probably took some time. Although those metal coils heat up pretty quickly once you get that electricity connected to them. Yeah, I would say it makes more electricity probably makes more sense in most places, um, because gas can't always be run or isn't always available. So, I mean, it makes more sense that electric would be more popular. We actually have electric in our house, and my wife hates it, but I don't have the money to to. We have gas for the furnace, but I don't have the money or the patience right now to uh, remodel the kitchen. So there's that. Um, Interesting. Even high heat on electric cookers isn't even hot. Wow, 15 minutes to boil water in your electric oven? That's crazy. Yeah, you can get those water boilers now that's electric though, but it only takes like 3 or 4 minutes if all you're making is tea or something like that. So, I do have to say, speaking of beverages, this is not my normal cup. Shout out to Solar Roadways. Um, This is just the cup that I'm drinking from today. If you don't know what Roadways are, they had uh, not GoFundMe. What was it? It was one of those like buy stock type things years ago, um, and they create these panels that are electric, and you can build like a parking lot or a road or something like that. But they're drivable. That you drive onable, if that's a word. I don't think that's a word, but whatever. Anyway, so I've done some work for them in the past, fixing some stuff on their website. It really needs an overhaul, but they sent me this mug in appreciation for helping out with some stuff early on when they were doing some stuff. So that's what Solar Roadways is. Really cool idea. They've gotten a lot of interest from the government, actually. And they're working on, I forget what phase they're on as far as their SR5 or SR6. But interesting company if you're interested in things like solar stuff. But we're way off the track this morning already. So anyway, if you're watching live, jump into the chat and say hello. If you want to if you want something specifically for me, have a question specifically for me that you want me to answer or something like that, let me know by doing @DevMercherDave. It gives me a little red bar that lets me know somebody's trying to get a hold of me. And then if you are watching live, hit the like button. It looks like most of you have. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. I assume if you're watching live, most likely you are subscribed already. But YouTubers, we have to say that kind of thing. I think it's a requirement. Actually, I think YouTube will kick you off the platform if you don't ask people to like and subscribe. So I just want to make sure I'm staying within the rules there. That's not true at all. Just in case anybody wonders. uh, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Electricity is an interesting problem. I don't know. I don't want to get political, so I'm just not going to keep commenting on it. Mm. But anyway, back to the mug. So, those of you who have have won a mug, I just got an email this morning that they are en route to me. So it took a little while for me to find a company that had a low enough purchase minimum. So that's one of the reasons it's taken a little while. But I have ordered them. They are coming. Theoretically, they are being shipped as of this morning. So that all that probably means is that they just did like how companies do like the online preparation for mailing you stuff. That's probably all they did. I doubt it's actually in the mail quite yet, but hopefully I'll get those next week so that I can get all that stuff processed and out to everybody who received those. I think there's 3 or 4 people that got those, if I remember correctly. I'll go back and double check from last week's live stream. But I'm hoping to get those out either next week or the week after, because I'm going to be out of town the week after that. So I should be able to get those out to you no later than next week, assuming I can get them, or the week after next week, assuming I can get them next week. So we'll see. But those are in process. They theoretically have been printed, and well, I mean, like the stuff on them has been printed, but so those will be coming. And I know this cup's a little bit different. I don't have my big cup today, but and this is a question I have for all you guys that are overseas, because I've never seen anyone in the United States do this before. All right. And it may be a thing and I just haven't seen it. And that's perfectly fine. But for those of you overseas, my father recently told me about a new way that he prefers coffee. And I was a little hesitant to try it, but now that I've tried it, it's going to be hard to go back to my normal cream and sugar. All right. So here's the question. He was overseas somewhere, and I forget where. I want to say probably Asia area, if I remember correctly. And I don't remember if I think he was at a coffee shop or just at somebody's house. And they gave him sweetened condensed milk. And sweetened condensed milk. I think that's what it is. Yeah. And just put like a dollop of that in your coffee, and that gives you the sweet, but also the cream. So you still get the cream colored coffee. There's 3 C's for you. Cream colored coffee. And you still get the sweet from the sugar, and then you don't have to figure out how to mix them. So, okay, so Mel's heard of it. That's good. So it's not completely crazy. I figure it's not crazy because obviously somebody else showed him how to do that. And of course, he waited for like months to tell us anything about it, but yeah. Oh, maybe. I don't think he was in Vietnam, but yeah, I think it was over there somewhere, or maybe it was just some people from Vietnam. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that does sound right. Actually, now that you say that, Ming. Yeah, definitely better than bad milk. Of course, I prefer cream more than milk anyway. Milk's too thin. I prefer the heavy whipping cream if I'm going to do that. But anyway, so that's what I've got this morning in a different cup. And this cup doesn't hold as much, so we're going to have to be judicious along the way as we go here this morning. So how's that? We spent 15 minutes doing absolutely nothing other than talking about completely random things. So let's try to get into something that's a little bit more on point. Oh, interesting. I didn't know you guys were lactose intolerant. That's like most of you all? That's crazy. Huh. I would be surprised if it's, or maybe it's just something about the way that it's condensed that keeps it from. Yeah, actually, my wife's done that a lot before too, Mel. She's made caramel out of it. Caramel or caramel, depending on how you pronounce it. Um, I pronounce it both ways, depending on who I'm talking to. So, yeah, it is pretty good. That's for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I grew up on skim milk, Ming, and I cannot stand it. Now I can't do whole milk. Whole milk's too for me. But I can do skim milk. I don't prefer it. My preference is like a 2%, just enough fat in there to give it a little bit of substance. But yeah, if I'm putting it in something, like I want the cream. I don't want milk. So anyway, Let's get on to topics of the day. So, mugs have been ordered. They are en route, theoretically, from for those that are getting those. I did have to order a minimum of 12, so I'm obviously going to keep one for myself. But I may throw some up there either as prizes in the future, or I might offer a couple. Somebody wants to buy one. I don't know why you would, but I'll probably just keep some for some more prizes in the future. We'll see. Um, you'd rather drink? I don't know if I would drink any cream. Like the cream has to be in something. I can't just chug cream. So one of my aunts actually loves butter, and she told me not long ago that she would literally, if it was acceptable, she would actually just eat butter straight. I'm like, that's no. I mean, I like butter, but there's no, I'm not doing that. So, and I'm definitely not chugging cream, that's for sure. All right, so today again, as I've already been called out, the topic is now we're cooking, um, or maybe more Americanly, now we're cooking with gas. And basically, the whole idea is there we're starting to make some progress, which is cool. Last week we took a look at some of the tickets that were out there and talked through kind of what we were doing with those and assigned those out to people. So hopefully, if you if you wanted to be assigned a ticket, hopefully you have been assigned a ticket. If you didn't want to be assigned a ticket, hopefully you weren't. but but hopefully you everybody's good to go on the ticket assignment. We've got a couple that haven't had any movement, so I might reassign those. In case anybody wants to grab those, feel free. If you see one sitting there in the in that first column, the in progress or the ready column, feel free to grab those if you want to. I'm going to be working this week on getting a good bit more tickets and designs done so that we have work moving forward and try to get a little bit more ahead of that process as we go. So thank you to those who have already started working on yours. And if you have a PR, get it pushed up. We'll take a look at it on the Saturday live streams. So I probably won't review them during the week just because the week is pretty busy for me. Um, and I just probably won't get to it or think about it, to be honest with you. So we'll do the reviews on Saturday. So make sure you get those tickets in if you want them reviewed and pushed into the code base. So we're going to take some time and look at those reviews today. And of course, we'll have some time at the end to open it up for questions that you guys might have. I do have a topic that I'd like to talk about today that I might splice out of here for a video, or take pieces of it and make a video of it. But I wanted to share some thoughts around a topic maybe later on if we have time. If we don't, then I'll just do a video of it later. But I think it might be something that I feel like it's something that is good to talk about. Something that came up recently for me. So anyway, we'll get to that eventually. But if there's no questions or concerns on the intro here, now that we're 20 minutes in, we'll jump into some PR reviews and then move forward from there. Let's see if there's anything else. You're good, Ming. If you are planning on working on it, Ming, go ahead and move it over to the in progress just so nobody steals it from you. Because I don't want anybody to steal it from you if you're planning on working on it. All right, let's see. Now that we've got the coffee discussion out of the way, let's jump in. One more thing, I think all of you that are live watching this are in the Discord, but if you're watching this later, jump in the Discord server and check out we've got lots of channels in there, but check out the project channel specifically, as that's what we're talking about mostly on Saturdays. Okay, so let's jump over to the screen. Okay. So we've got a few tickets that are in progress here. So here's what I would ask you to do. If you have a PR for your ticket, move the PR over to the in review column. You should be able to. So let me see. Bloop. Yep. I think this one's done. Is that one? I think both of these are done. Is that right, Ali? Let me know. I think they might have dropped. Hopefully he comes back. Um, anyway, so we've got a couple of PRs that we can review today. Also, just so you guys know, I did clean out some of the PRs that were sitting here. I just closed them. Um, cool. I just closed the PRs that were here. I know there were some things that probably we wanted to merge in, but I'm just going to go through and hopefully clean some stuff up. If you see something that needs to be cleaned up, create a new PR for it, just like those were, and we'll look at those in the future. But they were just kind of cluttering, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to take the time to go back and look at them. So sorry. I just want to make this a little bit cleaner. Okay, so let's see. This is the first one. Should we look at 16 or 17 first, Ali? The code should remain there, Mel. It's just the PR is closed, so like the branch should still be there. And we could actually go. So I could go in here and do like is closed, and that's going to give them to me too. So it's still there. It remembers everything, so we're good. Oop. And if I could type, then we could really do better. Here we go. All right. 16, perfect. Okay, that was my assumption, but I just wanted to make sure we were good with going in the order of the numbers. All right, so typically, again, just to remind everybody how I do PRs is I will go in and I will look at the commits. I'll look at the files changed first, and then if everything looks good, I don't have any issues with the code itself, then we'll pull it down and test it and see how it actually works. So let's dive in here. So this is the budget controller. This is another thing. Here's another thing I would ask too, just in case anybody is new to this process. In your title, if you would put the ticket number. So over here, we open this up. Does this give us a number? It doesn't. Doggone it. See, I'm used to working with other tools. This GitHub stuff is junk. Okay, let's see. Is there a way to tell? There is not. All right, I tell you what. I will start putting ticket numbers in here. So I'll do something like this. 12 dash like that, right? So I'll do something like this moving forward. So that way you can put the ticket number in there on your pull request, and that just lets me know kind of what issue that is connected with. This is helpful too if you just put information in here, maybe even a link back to the ticket. Something to let me know what ticket it is that you're working on, that this pull request is for. That would be helpful. So okay, yeah. If you Good question, Mel. Do you want us to put it first? It makes the most sense to me to do it first. So most of the places that I have worked, typically when we create a PR, we do ticket number, and then we do like a brief description, 3 to 5 word description of what the issue is, right? So we have the ticket number. Sometimes companies I've worked for have had like whole templates that you had to fill out and link to the correct ticket and things like that. I don't want to get too crazy with this, but I'll try to remember to add numbers to all the tickets, so that way you can just tell me the number at the beginning. Just do the number dash budget controller or something like that, just to make it so that everybody's doing it the same way, and then B, just to make sure that it's easier for me to see what exactly we're looking at here. Okay. So again, no worries, Ali. Certainly not a problem. So don't feel like it's it's on you. I should have communicated that a little bit more clearly before we jumped in full throttle and had a plan. See, lack of planning. There you go. All right. So we have a controller here. first thing we've got is the budget controller, and this is returning the welcome view for now, so that's fine. I don't think, let me look at the ticket here. So it should be returning. It should be returning the budget list view. I think you probably, it's dependent on budget list view. Yeah. So for now, for this ticket, this is actually fine. All right. So I want everybody to see this. This is actually, let me make this bigger. This is actually fine for this ticket, even though the ticket says it should return the budget list view. The budget list view wasn't created yet, and it was part of a different ticket. So for now, just returning the welcome view is perfectly fine. All right, we've got the welcome.blade file here. All right, we've got some updates here, just welcome information. Very good. And then we've got a route. So we've got a route that is pulling in the budget controller. All right, so we're using the controller grouping, which is good. So we've got a budget controller group, and that is doing slash for index, which again, if we go back and look up here, index is one of our methods, and it's returning the view welcome. So all of that looks like it should work to me. So this is very good. I don't see anything in here from a code standpoint that I'm concerned about. For now, again, we'll eventually get rid of the welcome view because it'll be the budget list view eventually. So I'm not too worried about this being here. So great, perfect, good job. Let's go pull this down and just make sure that it works. All right, so I'm going to copy this. Yep, and I'm going to come over here to get pull or get checkout. Someday I'm going to learn to type. It'll be great. Okay. Just for, I'm paranoid. I always do get pull afterwards. I don't know why. Probably because I don't trust anything or anyone. All right. So we've got that pulled down. We should be able to see our budget controller. Very good. This is a view controller. So it's not in the API folder, which is good. I didn't check that before. But we've got all of our code pulled down. Okay. So this should theoretically just work out of the box. Oh! And it did. Hot reload. There you go. So we've got our welcome page automatically loading on our route. So everything seems to be working correctly for me. So good job, Ali. That is done well. And we're going to go ahead and pass that. No comments on the coding. Everything worked great. So we will leave a review. And approve this. Submit that bad boy. All right. And we're going to go ahead and merge this in because that works well. Bada bing. We have our first pull request. Well, first real project. We had other ones, but that was kind of more training stuff. But we have our first real ticketed pull request and merge. Awesome. So good job, Ali, on that. Let's take a look at the other pull request here. You can ignore this. This is just something I stashed from our last live stream. All right, let's look at the budget list view. All right, and of course we know, let me move this ticket. So we've got the budget, create budget controller is done. Boom. All right. Now we're looking at the setup. This is going to be the route. So the route was already in the other one. So actually this ticket's done already too, because both of these tickets were in that one thing. And this is a good thing to discuss. I'm okay if it makes sense to put multiple tickets in one PR, that's fine. Generally what we want is small PRs. We want to be able to do small changes so that it doesn't have this massive effect on the code base. But something that's simple like this, that's dependent like this, it's perfectly fine in my opinion to group a couple of these together. So just make sure in your PR that you let us know that that's what you're doing, which if I remember correctly, I think Ali already did tell us that in the PR. So that works great. So we'll go ahead and move this one to done. All right, so what is the other PR here? Was it this one? Let's see. Create budget list view. All right, so that would be this guy here, right? I think that's right. No, you're absolutely good, Ollie. It's fine. I know it was a mistake, but it worked out perfectly fine, so it's not a problem. Um, Again, because those it was a very small change. We're gonna have some bigger PR, so don't worry, people. You're gonna have bigger work to push here as we go along. So this is just getting us moving. It's just starting the fire, right? It's starting the cooking. So we're just kind of moving forward. All right. So set up the budget list view. So we're looking for a views budget index.blade.php file. And that's really just all we're looking for here is the actual view file and making sure that it's in the right place. So let me go ahead. I think we changed this. I'm going to put you on here just so you're on the ticket, Ali. And you can get credit for it, whatever that means. I don't know. All right, so let's take a look at this PR here. Files changed 9. All right, so this is another thing that that we want to do. So in this one, what you did is you pulled in your other PR, right? So you branched off of your other PR or you pulled it into this branch. So what I would ask is if you do that in your initial description, do something like, hey, let me see if can I edit this? Yeah, do something like this. Do parent PR 16 or something like that. You should be able to link to it actually. Is there a way to link to it in? Yeah, there you go. So parent PR 16 update. So then that just lets me know, hey, by the way, don't review this one first. Review number 16 first. And then typically what I like to do is once 16 has been approved, what I prefer is for you to merge, and it's been merged in, I prefer you to merge develop back into 17. So I'm going to do that for you because I'm just a nice guy. All right, so we're going to do this because the main reason for that is we want to keep this uncluttered when we're looking at what files have actually been changed. We only want to spend time reviewing the files that have been changed. All right, so welcome, Kelly. Yes, so there is a Discord server. There should be a link in the description of, there should be a link in the description of the video of the live stream. If there is not, or if it's not working, let me know. We have multiple channels in there, but there's there's 3 for the DeepPockets project. Let me know what your GitHub username is. Let me know if you prefer front end, back end, both, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just let me know in the Discord server if you want to participate, and we'll get you assigned. So, cool. Welcome. I think you've been here before. I believe you look familiar anyway. Your avatar looks familiar, I should say. So, welcome back. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull this down myself. So did I already copy this? I don't remember. Too much time talking. Okay. Let's do git checkout. Well, let's do this first. Git checkout main. And we're going to pull the most updated version of that. Then we'll do git checkout this. All right, git pull. All right, now we're going to merge in develop, or not develop. I usually do develop because I'm typically working on projects that have already been started. We're going to merge main into this one so that we have the most updated information from and code from main. So we'll do git merge main. And I'm just going to go with the default on this. Here we go. All right, so we should have, let's do git status. All right, git push. Oop. Okay. So we just pushed that up, so this should refresh. So now we've got a few files different. I forget what they were before. It was more than this, that's for sure. All right, so let's take a look at our code here. Awesome. Let's see. Let's look at our code here. So we've got our budget controller, which we saw in the last PR, but we're changing it back now to budget.index, which looks correct. So if you've not seen this notation before, I think we did this when we did the live stream before, but just so you understand what's going on here, the dot there is indicating a directory, right? So we've got the budget directory dot index blade file, right? Because remember, the templating system for Laravel is a blade templating system, so we use blade.php files. But it already knows that. So when you're calling this view method, it knows, hey, I'm pulling a blade file. So we just have to put the directory dot index. If this was 3 levels deep, it would be whatever the first level is, dot budget dot index, right? So it makes it pretty simple to be able to get to the view files. You don't have to think about as much what the structure is and what the relationship is between this file and that file and things like that. It's just it's just helpful. So that looks good to me. One thing I would say is you might look into finding like a prettier or some other type of plugin that makes things look a little bit better. It's not the end of the world, and I'm not going to kick this back for it. But it is easier when things are lined up correctly, tabular wise. I don't think there's a word there for the tabs are lined up correctly. It's just easier to read, especially once you've been doing this for a while. It kind of smacks you in the face when it's not organized well. So that would be one bit of feedback that I would just give on the side. So again, when you would do this in a team, you're not going to leave feedback typically in a PR that you've approved. You definitely want to do it one-on-one, especially if it's just things like, hey, check, you should try this or check this out, or things like that. Or if it's like an in-depth, you need a deeper explanation, do that in person with somebody. All right. So we're kind of doing that here. That's the purpose of doing this on the live stream. So hopefully that helps. I've got some package.json updates. I am torn. Typically, I don't like updating package.json files unless it's done purposefully. So more than likely, you just ran update locally, and that's not necessarily wrong or bad, but we don't typically push these unless there's a reason to update those packages. All right, so just something to keep in mind in the future. If you're installing a package, absolutely you're going to need to push the package.json file, because that needs to be in everybody else's code base, including the main one, right? So we definitely want to push it then, but these all just look like version updates. So I wouldn't necessarily push the package.json file in that instance. Now, obviously, at some point in the project, we're going to want to make those updates. We're going to want to make sure that our packages are staying up to date. Typically, what we do in that instance is we'll have a lead or somebody with the most experience is going to go through, and they're going to make sure that not only are the packages updated, but there's nothing breaking in them. One of the things we're going to talk about here in the not too distant future is tests. And so they rerun the tests, make sure all the tests are working still after the package updates and things like that. So usually I would not commit the package JSON. We're early enough in this process, it shouldn't be a big deal, but that would just be another piece of feedback at this point. Later on, if somebody pushes a package JSON file, I will reject it if there's no substantial change or necessary change to it. But again, for now, not a big issue. I'm not going to reject it for that. Okay. So we've got, this one looks like it was just an added extra line. This is one of the downsides of auto formatting. Sometimes you get lots of changes in a file, but most of them you didn't actually change. So a lot of these formatting things just come through. There's nothing really here to review. We'll close that one. Okay. Now we're getting to the index.blade.php, and this is looking really nice. I really like this. So good job, Ali. We'll see how it works. um, but just for those who are unfamiliar with Blade templates, just kind of understand what's going on here. So this is our index budget, index.blade.php view, right? So we've got that in the right place down here, index.blade.php. As you see, there's not a whole lot going on here, actually, which is, makes you might wonder why that is, but this keeps it clean. And so we're putting a lot of reusable things in other places. So we're extending a layout. So Blade templating has this concept of layouts, and we'll look at a layout here. This is the layout here. So you can have a layout, so you have the same basic HTML structure for multiple templates, right? And you might have multiple layouts in your project. You might have a layout for this particular section of the application and a different layout for this section. Or you might have a specific layout that uses a specific menu for admins and doesn't have the same structure, or maybe it's just completely different for admins versus normal users, right? So we have the ability to create these layouts in the Blade templating system, and so that's what Ali has done here. He's created a layout and he's extended it, and then he's pulled in some other sections, and these are again our reusable sections that we're going to look at. So we've got a title, budget list, and then content, and then he's just ending the section here. This might not. I'll have to look at this because I don't know for sure. Oh, I got you. It's the yield. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, so let's look at these two things together. So here's our basic layout. Here's our basic HTML file, right? And in here, we're getting a title. And the title of this is budget list. All right. And then we're getting the content. So the content is going to go in this section here. So it's going to go between these two tags. All right. So budget list and then the content. Ming says, so controllers in Laravel, you import a template for the views. Yes, sort of. I mean, it is a view can be the whole thing if you want. If you want to be, it can be all the HTML. But usually you're going to duplicate a lot of that. So anything that you duplicate, you really want to try to use some form of layout or templating in that process, right? So again, this is just setting up the Blade file, so we don't have any content in here. And then here we're calling that content in the layout. All right. So if you think about how this gets loaded, when it loads this, so we're hitting the controller, right? We're hitting the controller, and that's calling this view file. So it's hitting this index.blade.php file. And the first thing that it loads is this. And this is looking for a title and content. And we're setting those values here after extending it. All right, so this template pulls in the rest of the content from here into the template itself. And you could have multiple sections. You could have this pulling in a left side navbar or a top navbar or something like that. So you can do all kinds of things from a templating standpoint that you could do inside of your React application too. Like you could do all this as just a React app, but this allows us to kind of do more things from the PHP standpoint and kind of preload some of that before it gets sent out to the client. So that's a little bit of where some of that server-side rendering power comes in with Laravel. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Ming. I'm not a fan of Express. I'm not a fan of Node, actually. I use it when I have to, but it's definitely not my favorite. Okay, so this all looks good to me from a All right, and we're putting this back to app resources. Very good. And then the Vite config. Oh, we just changed the the quotes to double quotes. That's fine. Okay, so all this looks pretty good from a code standpoint. Let's pull it down and run it and see how. Oh, I already pulled it down actually. So let's see how it goes. Probably already loaded. Okay. So here's one thing that I would suggest if you're doing a view file. So let's go back here to our budget index file. In here, I would put something like hello. All right, and so we can see if that loads, which it does. All right, so just leaving something in there, even if it's just something like this is our budget list component here, right? Something like that. So then when we reload this, come on, there we go. We have something that loads on the page. You never want to just load a blank page in your PR because it's harder for people to know if it's actually working, right? But if they can see something in the code base that says, hey, this should be printed out here or something like that. I mean, we could even do, if you wanted to make it very clear that it, you could do something like this. Just for fun. And that should still show, which it does. Okay. So this, you might do something like this where you can make it clear to somebody, hey, this is going away. But you want to usually leave something there that lets them know, hey, this is actually working. All right. So, but other than that, everything looks great. I'm not even going to save this. We're just going to, well, no, actually I will. I'll save this. We'll save this. We'll push it up. Adding content for verification, get push. Bada bing, that should be up there in our PR now. Boom, 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 boom. Refresh. Okay, so we've got that content in there. Perfect. Everything else looks great though. Good job on the blade templating, Ali. So awesome. Hopefully everybody else kind of sees a little bit about how that works now. And again, another thing that you could do if you wanted to, Ali, actually, is go in here, since we've got this. Like we could take this. Let's just test it and see if it works. Bum, bum, bum. Oop, there's nothing there. Is there anything in our app? Let's check. See, this is a good question to see if this stuff works. We're loading the component app.js. It should be returning stuff. Ooh, bugs. I don't have any console errors. What am I missing? What am I missing? So we've got, I feel like I'm just missing something done. Load component app. Should be loading app in the ID app. And we put ID app here. Oh, hang on. We need to include this stuff. That would be helpful in our layout. Look at me doing all your all's work. Tell you what. All right, so let's see if it works now. There we go. So you have to include React in order for it to work. You know, it's the little things that we miss sometimes. Okay. So we've got that working. We're yielding the content, which is awesome. Our layout has the app pulling it in, and that's got all of our React components and pulling those in based off of the IDs that we're putting into our stuff here, which is awesome. So I think I would leave it like this, since this way we don't. In fact, we're going to do this. We're going to actually delete welcome.blade. It is no more. All right. App.blade we don't really need because we're not using that. Well, oh yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. My bad. There we go. Okay, so I just made some changes. We are good there. Okay. Um, let's see. Make sure this still loads. Good to go. Okay, perfect. So now we have everything actually set up so that root is using a layout. The layout is loading our JavaScript, which is loading React, which means people can start adding React components without having to worry about that piece of it. So let's get this pushed up again. We made lots of changes. We made lots of changes to Ali's PR. Sorry. um, okay. Very good. Let's go back over here and look at the refresh this guy. Excellent. We're still at 8 files because I think we changed something. Wait, why is this guy here? Oh, it's showing you deleted. Okay. Threw me off for a second. Okay. So we should be good there. I will approve. Bada bing. Submit review. And merge pull requests. Confirm. We have two merged pull requests. Awesome. All right. So now, if any of you are working on a PR, make sure you pull down main and make sure you merge main into your branch. And you should have everything that we just pushed into main. And I showed you that a little bit earlier. In fact, I'll show it to you again just so you guys can see. I know a lot of you probably use the easy button stuff, but you know, I like to type mine. So we're going to update main. Very good. We got all that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to do, what's the name of that branch I was looking at earlier? Live stream tests, just for fun. That's going to create problems. Yeah. Just do git merge. Change your branch. Change branch. Man, someday I'm going to learn to type. It's going to be great. Change branch and then git merge main. All right, so do those into your PRs to make sure that you don't have any conflicts, first of all, and then to make sure that you have the most updated code. And if you're working on a React component, you've got kind of the official integration there. So, all right, let's see what's going on here. So Vite is not React actually. Vite is a what is it called? It's like a compiler. Here, let's look it up and talk about what it actually is here. So Vite. Oh, come on. My computer's having some issues this morning. Vite. All right. So Vite manages basically local development. So it manages spinning up your server, handles like hot reloading, things like that. It works with Vue. It works with React. It works with Laravel. Anyways, basically what it does is it listens. If we go back over here, we've got a Vite config file. So we tell it the types of things that we want it to listen for, right? And there's plugins that have been created for it by Laravel, by React, by Vue, by other, frameworks and things like that. So we pass those plugins into the Vite configs, and we're telling it, hey, listen to Laravel. Here's our inputs is app.css. These are things that we want to hot reload. All right. and we want to refresh, so we want it to reload automatically. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, especially if your computer's having some delay issues, which mine is, especially when you're live streaming, you get some of those issues. But if you've got a heavy load, it may not be as quick as it should be, but really it's there to help you develop a little bit faster, kind of keep everything running from a local development standpoint. Hot reloads, it helps you kind of test things in a more of a real world environment, if that makes sense. So it's not, it really doesn't have anything to do with React itself. It is another thing entirely. It's there to kind of give you help in your actual development process. All right, so let's see if there's a if there's a better definition on here. Not really. Instant server start, optimized build. So it rebuilds for you automatically. That's what that hot reloading is. You don't have to rebuild every time you make changes. So that's what Vite is. The one that we used to use a lot was what was it? It was web something. Why do I not remember that? Here we go. We'll figure it out. Vite alternatives. WMR. No. Webpack. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, we used to use Webpack. That was kind of the main one back in the day until Vite came out. Vite's only been out a few years, so it's kind of new to the arena. But yeah, it's more for development environments. It's not a React specific thing. So yeah, it's kind of like a middleman. I wouldn't necessarily call it a middleman, although it can kind of break things at times if it's not set up correctly. It's more of a tool to help you develop faster locally. Again, it's more to do with like building your resources and things like that. So that's what Vite is. Vite kind of took over the job from Webpack. So that's what that is. Yeah, Kelly, I'll need to add you. So that's why I was asking for your GitHub stuff in the Discord server. Put your information there, and then I'll get you added to the repository. I'll get you added to the project as well over here on the project board. So we're going to move this from in process. We already did the review, so we'll move it over to done. So we have 3 tickets moved to done already. I'm going to get more tickets out this week and some more design updates so that we'll have some more to go on, just so that you can see Kelly the design that we have here. So we've only got one page designed, and it's really just kind of a beginning standpoint. Where is my design? There we go. Okay. So you should be able, I'll make sure you get access to the Figma as well, Kelly. But this is our main budget page. There's going to be more pages, obviously forms and things like that we're going to be developing. This is what we're currently working on first. This is the first page that will load when you open the app. Again, we are focusing mostly on desktop because this is a project. It's going to be an open source project. It's going to be free for people to pull down and manipulate however they want and use it. So more than likely they're going to do it on their desktop anyway. So we're focusing more. Man, I'm just joining all kinds of words today. We're focusing more on the desktop design simply for that reason. That and I hate designing for mobile. So there's that too. Mel, typically when you install it, like with Laravel or something like that, you're not going to have to do a whole lot of setup. You might have to do some, like I had to add the React package, but it's not real difficult. Most of the time it's just adding configurations to the configuration file. So just going in here and adding these things. like I said, when I installed Laravel, Vite automatically installed with it. And so the only thing that I had to add was the React package in React itself, and it just starts. So when you run npm run dev, so like over here, I ran. So if you can see this here, I ran. If you look, this is hot reloading. So the first thing I did up here was I ran npm run dev. It's still very small. Sorry, guys. There we go. npm run dev up here, and that automatically ran Vite because that's what's in the package JSON file. So if I go to package JSON, look at the scripts, npm run dev runs Vite. So it's set up to do that based on the way Laravel's set up. So it's not anything I'd have to do a bunch of stuff to add it in there. It was just kind of already there. No, when you do an npm install, it'll automatically install it if it's part of the package and the framework that you're using. So, like it is with Laravel, it just comes shipped with Laravel. So again, the only thing that I had to change was add in the React package for Vite. And in fact, if you go to like the React documents, I don't know why this thing is being such a pain today. So if we go to React, overview, where's the quick start? I missed the quick start. Anyway, there's a. Oh, here's quick start under learn. There you go. Bloop. Okay. So we come in here, it gives you how to do all that stuff. Installation. Start a React project, add React to existing project. So that's what I did. So we clicked on that. I think there was something in here about Vite. Maybe not. Maybe I just searched for it. Let's try that. Well, let's actually look at what comes up. Install Vite. Remix, Webpack, Next.js, Vite. Here we go. So this tells you how to install. That's not what I did. How did I get this? I searched it somehow. Interesting. Let's see. Is it in here? Nope. I don't know where I found it, but I found it. So somewhere in all this documentation, it was very easy to find whenever I was looking for it before. So I don't know. Check out the documentation. Get used to the documentation. There's your homework for the week. Unless you're working on an actual ticket. But yeah, usually you can find information on how to install that. Install or do something like React plugin for Vite. Maybe this is what it was. This must be it. Plugins React, yeah. So it's just a package that I found to put it in there instead of doing it through the React way. So there's that. Yeah. So like I said, there's plugins for Vite. This one looks like it's put out by Vite, if I'm reading this correctly. So that's cool. They probably have other plugins. Where is the Vite.js? Let's just go there. Nope, nothing found. That's helpful. I don't know. I don't want to spend a bunch of time on this, but yeah, it shouldn't be difficult on whatever project you're working on. So, but that should be helpful. Now, And again, the main thing about Vite is that it's hot reloading and hot building your JavaScript more than anything. So that's the big thing why you would use it with React or Vue or something like that. It's rebuilding those apps for you, so you don't have to run the build every time you make a change. Yeah, React is already in the project as of now, especially. It's in there, and the app, the initial app is in the content area, so that should be good. So you don't have to install that. Mel says I did a fresh install of XAMPP this week. Got it to work with MySQL and Composer's now working. Still got to do Laravel. Okay. Yeah, if you have questions, post those in the Discord channel, and hopefully we'll get some time to take a look at that. If you got any specific errors, that's always helpful as well. So there you go. All right. So good job, Ali, on those PRs, on those tickets. So we've got those moved. Again, I'll do some more tickets this week. Those of you who are currently working on tickets, keep going. Hopefully get those PRs in this coming week, and we can take a look at them next Saturday. Just a programming note, I will be out probably 2 weeks in a row here. In a couple weeks, we're going on a family vacation that is kind of a big one. We're celebrating lots of things. My son's graduation, 18th birthday, our 20th anniversary, lots of things going on in our lives this year. So we're doing kind of a bigger vacation that we normally wouldn't do. So I'm probably gonna be out for 2 weeks. I might squeeze in um, a quick live stream on one of those Saturdays that we're still that I'll be in a hotel. So anyway, they're just FYI so you guys know, and I'll make sure everybody knows in advance what's happening with that. But that'll be at the end of this month, just FYI. But I will try to get ahead as far as tickets are concerned, so that we've got tickets for everybody to work on. But great job on getting those tickets done. They all look really good. I'm really happy with the way that those turned out. So good job, Ali. For those jumping in, either maybe you're just getting into the live stream, go back and watch the rest of it and see what a good job Ali did on his PRs. And those are now in main. So if you pull main down and merge that into your current branches, you'll have the most recent updates from today. So very good job. Thank you guys for working on that, and I'm looking forward to getting more tickets out. Looking forward to seeing more PRs, and somebody's got to do something wrong in these PRs though, so I have something to push back on. I mean, come on, give me something to be mean about. So we'll see. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying this journey so far. Um, Anybody have any questions about the project? Thanks, Ming. Thanks for the promise of mistakes. I appreciate that. That's awesome. All right, yeah. If it works, it works. Sometimes that's the direction you have to go with it. What's up, babe?
Um, Ethan has one of those old school cameras.
Okay.
And he wants to show it to you.
Okay. After I'm done. Sorry about that, guys. And okay, now the door's closed. That's the fun of live streaming. Good times. All right. Again, any questions about a project before I jump into a probably monologue you don't care about? Yeah, that's my 8-year-old. So she's the last one. I've got a 18, 16. Well, not 18. Technically, he's only 17 still. 17, 16, 14, 8. So, yeah, it's fun. We restarted after 5 years, which was not necessarily planned, but we love her anyway. All right. So that was the 8-year-old. I don't think she's she's jumped in on a few of my office calls once in a while, but that was a first here. So she's live on the internet. You can see them right up there, wherever my hand goes. There you go. I don't know if I can reach. That's them. This was a few years ago, actually. Obviously, you can tell this is the 17-year-old. He's not 17 here. So I don't know when this was. I don't have a date. 2019. So yeah, that was 5 years ago. Good grief. I need a new picture. All right. So that's them. Maybe if we hit 5,000 subscribers and we do a cake, maybe I'll have some of them help me out with the cake. How's that? Do my kids want to become devs? One of them might. So the youngest boy, he's 14. He is a little odd like me, so he might pursue that. I don't know that he has anything specific, but he definitely finds it interesting. And so I actually got him started learning PHP this summer. He's doing school now, so doesn't have as much time to work on stuff. But he most likely he would be the one out of all of them that would potentially follow me in the dev world. My oldest son is looking at engineering, so he doesn't really like spending all of his time in front of a computer, which is interesting because most of the engineers I know spend most of their time in front of a computer. So, and I'm not talking about software engineers, I'm talking about regular engineers. So we'll see how that works out for him. But he's interested in engineering. My oldest daughter is probably going to go into nursing. At least that's the route now. So pretty technical stuff. They're pretty smart. The young one that you just heard was I don't know what she's going to do. She wanted to be a vet for a while, and then we made the mistake of showing her what's that, Dr. Pole, I think on Disney Plus, and she was like, I don't want to do that. I think she saw one too many baby cows getting dragged out. She was not on board with that, at least at this age. So I don't know if she's still thinking about veterinary or not. All right, let's see. Ba-da-ba-ba. You're gonna charge him rent? That's awesome, Mel. Yeah. I'm not charging him rent. His rent is he's gotta be making good grades. He's gotta be working. He does work, but I want him to be able to save up as much as he can and pay for his school. So he's paying for school. Um, so yeah, so no rent on this side, but if you were a deadbeat, I'd definitely be charging him rent. So there's that. All right, Ollie says I've tried doing the base app layout and it was working, although I asked for back end tickets. What is your say? The base app layout. I'm fine, Ollie. I'm fine with you doing whatever tickets you want to do. I'm obviously going to try to respect what you've asked for. So if you want to do front end, just let me know, and I can assign both of them to you. Or if you want to say I'll do both but prefer back end, I'll try to fit into that. So whatever I want you guys to feel like you can be successful in this project, even though it's not like nobody's getting paid for this, including me, right? So I want you guys to feel successful and be able to do things. I don't want everything to be just learning. I want you to feel like you can jump in and participate and be successful in that. So if you prefer the back end, I want to try to help you in that process and give you more back end tickets. But if you want a ticket out there, feel free to grab it if it's something that's just sitting open, or just ask me in the Discord server. Ask me if you are looking for something specific or want to grab a ticket. Just let me know and I'll approve it, or if I want it specifically for somebody else, usually I'll assign it to them. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with you guys doing whatever tickets you want to do. It's good to challenge yourself, so I'm down with it. Yeah, that's the goal, Ming. That's the goal. I hope that it's good practice for when you get hired. Um, there are some things that just are not going to be the same. We don't have deadlines like a real job. So there's a lot less pressure. Um, but hopefully it will at least give you an idea. The goal is to give you an idea of what it's like to work on a team, what it's like to work with other developers on a project, have to rely on other developers to get things done so that your stuff works, and kind of a lot of that team dynamic. That's really what we're going for in this project. So hopefully it helps in that process for sure. Awesome, Kelly. It's exactly what we're looking for. Something. That's funny. If your kid wasn't successful, you charge rent. No, it's not about them being successful. It's about their effort, right? Because I could have a child who puts all the effort in the world in, and they just don't do well at a subject, right? And that's not that's not necessarily their fault, right? So I'm not gonna I'm not an ogre here. I'm talking about effort. If they're making bad grades because they're not putting the effort in, then if you're not going to do that, then you need to be putting effort into a job. So there's that. So hopefully clear that up a little bit here. I don't expect perfection from my kids in any area, but especially grades. I was not a straight A student, so I don't expect them to be either. But they need to be up to their potential and putting in the effort. So there's that. Yeah, solo projects obviously much different than working on a team. Um, for one thing, you don't have support. That's something that people don't think about when it comes to working together on a team on a project. When you're doing everything by yourself, you just got to hope that you stumble across the right information at the right time, that you know how to search, that ChatGPT gives you the right code code concept, right? You've got to rely on your work and your interaction with inanimate objects, basically. Your understanding. You've got to hope that the way that you understand things is the correct way. Whereas when you're working on a team, you have the ability then to interact with other people. You have the ability to review other people's PRs, and other people have the ability to review your PRs, and to give feedback and to help you learn and grow, not just in your structure, but even in the code that you write. Is this the best way to go about this? Is there maybe a method in the framework or in the language that you didn't know about that would make what you did 10 times easier, right? So working with a team is not just learning to work with around other people. I think a lot of times people think about working with teams as having to work around people. Those are pretty prideful people if they think that way. But it's not just working with conflict, but it's working with support. All right. So yeah, there's going to be some issues of conflict. Somebody's code's not going to work with yours, and we're going to have issues with PRs not being able to be merged in because there's a merge conflict. We're going to have issues like that. That's real things that happen to real teams. But that's the negative side of things. But we also have support. We also have camaraderie. We have people interacting with one another and helping one another grow through the process. So that's why anytime you get an opportunity to work on a project as a team, I would always recommend that you take it, even if it fizzles out. Let's say, we've been talking about and working towards this for most of the year. Let's say we get to next year and everybody's tired of working on this and it just kind of fizzles out. Well, it doesn't mean it was wasted, right? It means that we just didn't complete the project, but we still had an opportunity for people to learn and grow in their career. So that is the goal. Yeah, we're going to have some conflict issues from a code standpoint. We're going to have some helpful issues of helping people along and giving feedback. And I want to encourage you all too. I don't have to be the only one that does pull request reviews, especially as we get even more going. Now we're cooking, right? We're starting to get moving forward. But as we're doing that, as we start building up steam, as we start bringing in more people even into the project, it's going to be important that we have others interacting with those PRs, because there's going to come a point where I can't do all the PRs on a Saturday morning. I hope that means we've got a lot of work going on. And when that happens, we're going to need people to interact with those PRs. So certainly feel free to leave your own comments and ideas on PRs. Give your feedback to each other. That's why we're doing this as a team. Is to not just give you the conflict side, but to also give you the support side as well. So that's a good point, Mel. If you don't feel comfortable, so here's what I would do. If you don't feel comfortable questioning somebody else's work and saying that it's not good, turn that around and turn it into a PR review that is looking for education, right? So instead of doing a review that says this is the wrong way to do it, maybe ask a question like, I'm not familiar with this. Could you explain why you did it this way? And maybe that's a question that needs to be done in the Discord channel, or maybe they could explain it very quickly there on the pull request. But that's turned it into a learning opportunity. So if it's something that you don't understand or you think maybe might not be correct, turn it into a learning opportunity. And then when you understand their thought process, maybe you might be in a place where you can be like, I don't think that's quite the best way to think about it. Or you might have just learned something. So I wouldn't be afraid about looking at other people's code. Look at other people's code. It's a great way to learn new things, especially if you ask questions. I've done that in people's reviews. I work with developers that are a lot smarter than I am. Just because I'm in a management role now doesn't mean I'm the smartest person in the team. All right, so I've got some great devs that work that report to me, but they're much better devs than I am. And I've looked at PRs before, and I've had to ask questions because I'm like, I'm not familiar with this. And then they explain it or point me to documentation or something like that, and I see that it was done well, and so I can approve that. Sometimes it was bad code and it wasn't done right, and so I've had to disapprove it. But PR reviews is also an opportunity for you as the reviewer to learn as well. So don't just view it as something that you have to give negative feedback. View it as an opportunity to learn for yourself as well. Let's see. Yeah, if you see something on the back end that's not done and you need it, feel free to do it, Ali. Good question. If there is a ticket for it, you might leave a comment on the ticket. So let's go back over here. Back to this guy. Because I believe, for example, let's say you took over this one. Is there a way to leave a comment? I thought you could leave comments here. Maybe not. See if you guys, somebody jump in here and see if you can edit this. So update comment, cancel. Yeah, there's no way to leave a... See, it would be really nice. See, this is why you use things like Jira, stuff like that, Trello. They give you opportunities to leave comments on things. There's no way to do that here. Somebody jump into this setup budget list item if you've got it open and see if you can edit the description. Just be like, so-and-so was here in it. Yeah, jump in there, Ollie, and just put like... just put something like, I took over this ticket. Sorry. I just want to see if it shows up here. Let's see. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Come on. Guided was here. There you go. All right. So you guys have the ability to edit. That's good. What I would say is assign yourself to the ticket, so that we know that you're the one doing it if you do take over something. Like if you build something out because you need it and there's a ticket for that, take over the ticket and leave a note in the description as to what happened. So that way the person working on it can be notified that there was an update and that somebody else took it, and then they can get mad at you and not me. All right? No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully everybody's good with that. And again, usually what I will do is I will create tickets that are not stepping on people's toes. Again, right now in the beginning, we're doing very, very small tickets. I would typically have made these 3 tickets that you did in 1 ticket normally. So you did what you would normally do. So don't worry about that. Usually the tickets are going to be more solid to where they're not really stepping on each other's toes in the future for the most part. So it won't be as big of a deal going forward. But if you do happen to do something in your ticket that is assigned to somebody else, just do make sure you put some notes in that other ticket so they know what's going on. Let's see. Ming says, is it all right to push my ticket into the progress part? Yes, please. If you are actively working on it, because I'll assign these tickets, but I don't necessarily know always if someone's available. So if you're unavailable and you get assigned a ticket, unassigned yourself. And if you are assigned a ticket and you are planning on working on it, or if you're gonna start it for sure, move it over to the in progress. That way, I just know that you're aware that you've been assigned and you are either actively working on it or planning on working on it as we go here. So yeah, definitely move it over to the in progress section, column, whatever it's called. Let's see. Any other questions? I gotta switch over to water. My voice is going. Mel says in progress means it's all mine. Well, theoretically, although we had Ollie take over one that was somebody else's that was in progress, I think. I think it was. I don't have to go back and look. I don't know if there's. Is there a history on here? Not really. See, this is. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Uh, Jira is better. We have our own internal one that we built for the company that I work for. So, but yeah, yeah, it might. I don't think it was. I think you're right, Mel. But yeah, that's typically if it's in progress, that's a good way of claiming it. All right, so usually we're not taking over somebody's tickets that are in progress. Hopefully, so that's good. That is a true statement, Mel. Absolutely. All right. Any other questions that you guys have? It's about 11 now. I think I'm going to hold off on the topic. I wasn't sure how long our PR reviews were going to go today, so I just wanted to have some other content for you. But I think we've done well. But I'm open for any other questions that you might have, general questions, project questions, anything that you might be struggling with, or just have a question about, want my opinion on. I'm more than happy to share my opinion, right? uh, oh, that's an interesting question, Ming. What are the qualities of an understanding manager? Many people leave their boss, not their job. How can I identify this at interviews? Whew. You got to hit me with the tough one right away. What are the qualities of an understanding manager? Well, I think there's so here's the thing you have to keep in mind. So the manager and employee relationship is a relationship. It's like any other relationship that you can think of. We've got there's going to be back and forth. There's going to be conflict at times, especially in a work environment. You're going to have the manager has to have expectations of the employee. They have to. It's a different relationship. There's a leadership responsibility there. Um, let's talk about what that looks like, or what that should look like. In fact, this is interesting. I actually just recently put together a survey for myself, and I sent a survey out to um, most of the people in the company that I have worked with, especially those that I had worked as a lead over, or as a director over, and especially if they'd been there for a while. So that we had a couple people that were newer that I didn't send it to, um, just because we really hadn't had that much of a relationship or interaction. But the people that I'd interacted with quite a bit, I wanted to get their feedback. Um, to me, part of being a good manager is being interested in that feedback, wanting that feedback, wanting to be a good manager. I think that's probably number one, right? You want to find somebody who wants to be a good manager. Probably wants to be a manager first, and then wants to be a good manager. Unfortunately, in the dev world, a lot of times what happens is people become managers who don't have the skill set or don't have the desire to be a manager. They're really good devs, and people just assume a certain career path for you, that you should be going from a junior to a mid to a senior to a lead developer, and then once you're a lead developer, maybe you move into some other like management role. Like for example, with me, I'm a developer, I'm a director, and that's kind of pretty much where the hierarchy ends in the company that I work for. But you've got other companies have much more rungs on the ladder, right, so to speak. And so they've got this career progression that's kind of an expectation. Years ago, I was working for a company that I was a contractor, and the company that I was working with, they'd actually had a lot of issues with some of their really, really good devs leaving the company because they were pushing them through this specific promotion path, and not all of them really were manager material, and they weren't fired for it, but they ended up being forced to do things that they were not comfortable doing, didn't want to do. They just wanted to be developers. They wanted to write good code, and they wanted to put stuff out, and unfortunately they got pushed into this specific career flow, and they had really good developers leaving the company because they got stuck in management positions. So I think the first thing is they've got to actually want to be a manager. Sorry, my mustache is tickling my nose. They've got to actually want to be a manager, and they've got to have the skill set to be a manager. So they've got to be somebody that interacts well with people. All right. So you're going to have good people skills, good soft skills, communication skills. But as far as what you should look for, what you should expect from your manager, you should expect somebody that understands the company, somebody that understands what you are doing in your job. So one of the hardest things to do as a developer is to work under someone that doesn't understand what you're doing. And again, this is one of the reasons why we tend to push developers into the management side of things, is because devs know what development takes. When you get a leader of any type in a dev world that doesn't understand development, they're often going to make assumptions. They're going to make assertions that are incorrect, that don't make sense. They're going to make promises to clients and things like that aren't doable, and then they're going to try to hold people to their estimations instead of, actually finding out what the truth is, unfortunately. So I would say, welcome DJ, DJ Batman. I love that avatar. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a good question. Managers are not the best devs on the team, not necessarily. Um, Honestly, there are a lot of really good devs that don't make good managers, um, because they're really good at writing code, but they may not be very good at interacting with people. I've worked with developers that were awesome developers, but you did not want to put them in front of a client. You did not want to have them really, PR reviews were kind of rough for some of them because they were just a little too picky on some things, so the best devs are not always the best managers. So, and the best managers are not always the best devs. It just, there are different skill sets for sure, but you definitely want somebody in management that understands development. They need to have some background in it. They need to understand, so that the devs are not snowballing them on time frames and things like that. But they need to be able to understand development well enough so that they can protect the devs. So, in my opinion, a good leader is somebody who understands the company, understands the role of the devs, understands how development works, and they understand how to protect the people under them. And to me, this is really, really huge. So the goal of a manager is to make sure that those under his or her management are able to perform at the highest level they can. All right. So that means giving them the freedom to do the work as best as they can. Maybe that's allowing them to be remote. Maybe that's allowing them to not have to deal directly with clients. One of the most annoying things that a dev can have is a client interrupting them in the process of their work. As a developer, there's been multiple studies on this, but basically every time you get stopped in the middle of what you're doing, your brain has to kind of reset. Every time you get asked a question, your brain has to reset and refocus on what you were doing before. So a good manager is going to understand how devs work and how they work most efficiently. A good manager is going to get to know you and how you work most efficiently. Now, sometimes the way that you want to work doesn't work perfectly. For example, you might be somebody who's a night owl and you would rather work, halfway through the night, but from a company standpoint, they really need you to work during the 9 to 5 hours. That's something that you're just going to have to change as a developer, right? But a good manager might be able to work around that depending on where you fit in the company. They might be able to find a way to help with that. Because again, the goal of management is to help the company be successful, right? That's the first thing you need to understand. The goal of management is not to make you happy as a developer. All right. The goal of management is to help the company succeed. Now, a lot of making the company succeed is helping you do the job more efficiently. And a lot of that does come down to making things easier for you, making things happier for you, acquiescing to some of your desires. But sometimes it comes down to enforcing regulations and processes and things like that as well. So just because a manager has a process and enforces that process doesn't mean that they're a bad manager. Again, you have to remember the goal of the manager is not making your life easy. The goal of the manager is making the company successful. But a good manager will try to do both. A good manager will do everything they can to make the company successful and try to do that while making things as easy as possible for you in your specific circumstance and situation. So, going back to your question, Ming, what you should look for in a manager is somebody who understands development, somebody who has a plan, right? So a good manager is somebody who has a plan and a process and a procedure in place to help the companies be successful. But you want somebody who's relatable. At the end of the day, you want somebody who you can go to. You want somebody who is willing to come to you when there's an issue or a problem, who's willing to encourage you, who's willing to praise you when you've done something well. What you want is feedback and interaction. So how do you find that? That's really the main crux of your question, I think, Ming. How do you find that in an interview? What I would do is I would ask questions around how the company in general handles those types of interactions, such as one-on-one reviews, how they handle the ratio of managers to developers or employees, what their structure looks like, what their expectations are for managers and for the relationship between a manager and an employee, what their expectations are from employee self-reviews. The questions are around how has the company structured it. Unfortunately, most of the time in an interview process, you're not necessarily going to be interviewing with the manager that's going to be hiring you, that's going to be working with you. A lot of times, especially in larger companies, they'll have hiring managers, they'll have managers that maybe rotate on interviews. And so the managers aren't necessarily the ones looking for somebody to be added to their team. They're just oftentimes on a rotation, and it's their turn to do interviews and make sure that the candidate fits for the company as a whole. So you may not always be able to interview directly with the manager and ask more specific questions about how they manage things. You typically have to kind of focus that more around how the company requires, what the company requires, and how the company views that relationship. And I think you can ask questions around what expectations are, and around the process. What does a review process look like? Is there a standard for that? So unfortunately, it's not something that you can necessarily know until you get into it and you're actually interacting with a manager. But I think hopefully those are some ideas as to what a good manager is. They know the company, they know how to be successful, they have an idea and a plan to help the company with you involved in it. They understand development. They're not just hiring somebody hired for pure management purposes, but they understand development. So when you tell them about a struggle or an issue, they understand where you're coming from. But there's somebody who's relatable, who understands, who can interact with you in a day-to-day basis, that gives you good feedback, that gives you good support, and yeah, that's the thing. And unfortunately, I mean, there are just going to be times where good managers um, are overwhelmed, where they're frustrated, they've got too much work going on, and unfortunately, as human beings, we do tend to kind of let that out on people sometimes. So you can have a good manager that messes up here and there, and I would suggest that you take that in consideration, and understand that there's management is weird because you have pressures from multiple sides. You have pressures from the top ownership and leadership. You have pressures oftentimes from clients. You have pressures from devs. So there's multiple areas of pressure from a management standpoint that when you're just a dev, you don't really realize is happening, because most of your pressure is coming down from the management, or maybe sometimes from other team members, but you don't necessarily understand that there's more pressure on a manager, and the manager has less power over the success, right? Again, because a manager is managing people who are doing the work. So management is getting pressed on multiple sides, but has less power to actually make the end product a, a result, make it real. So they can only do what they can to motivate and help you as a developer, help them get to the end the way that they're hoping to get there and planning to get there. So it is a complex ecosystem, and it's one that we have to understand is a complex ecosystem, and be willing to give and take, at times in that relationship. And remember that it is a relationship. We're not robots. We're not robots as developers. We're not robots as managers. We are human, and with that comes human elements and human failures, but also human support and friendship, and hopefully the latter is more in your interactions with your manager. So hopefully that rambling made sense and answered your question, Ming. Let's see. Kelly, just so you know, I'm kind of reading through real quickly here. I will typically assign you a ticket. So if you put in the Discord channel what you would prefer to work on, whether it's front end or back end or both, I will typically create a ticket and assign it to you based on that. However, if you are done with your ticket, or if you see a ticket that you want to do, generally it's okay for you to grab one as well. But the typical flow, the planned flow, is for me to assign tickets to you. But again, that's not like a don't touch the tickets. You are free to grab a ticket, especially if no one's assigned to it in the end. So, all right. And again, I will try to get you added after this if I get a chance. It might be tomorrow or Monday. It kind of depends on how things shake out for me this afternoon. I actually have some work I have to do this afternoon. Um, but yeah, so I will get that assigned to you sometime in the next few days. If you get that information in the Discord, I haven't checked the Discord, so if you've already done that, great, thank you, and I'll get you connected. Plus, I need to write more tickets anyways this week, so there will be more tickets coming for you to be able to grab or be assigned to as well. So hopefully all that makes sense. Let's see. Anything else I'm missing? Yeah, feel free to leave a review. Um, you don't. You can leave a review. For example, we did a PR review, and it has multiple options. It has comment, approve, something else, reject maybe, I forget. So you can just leave comments in your review. You don't have to actually reject it if you don't feel comfortable doing that. By the way, just so you know. Let's see. Ming says I was at a hackathon a while back. I have no doubt the devs were highly skilled, but when it came to soft skills, it was really poor. Don't companies care much about soft skills? Any thoughts? You have to have some level of soft skill and communication to get a job. Um, Depending on your skill set, and this is where referrals are huge. You can get a job with less soft skills if you get referred by somebody else in the company that knows you. So because they can vouch for you, right? They can say, well, this person really knows what they're doing. Um, you have to at least be able to communicate to some degree. Oh, excuse me, guys. Sorry. You have to be able to communicate to some degree in order to get the job. But depending on your role, you may not need tons of soft skills. Um, you might be able to get by. Now, is it going to potentially hurt you from a promotion standpoint? Maybe. Um, Hopefully not from a pay scale standpoint. Hopefully, pay scale isn't completely coupled to promotions. Um, but you do need some soft skills, and I would encourage everyone to always work on your soft skills. It doesn't mean that you have to become a manager, but you, it's just always good to be doing. It's just always good to be doing. I forgot. I've lost my mind. It's always good to be getting better at things that you're not good at, right? So if you're not good at soft skills, then you need to work on them because you need to be able to communicate with the other devs in a way that is helpful. I have worked with devs that did not communicate very well, and thankfully they didn't have to communicate very much. And that's what I'm trying to say is it depends on your role. If you're going into a lead role or a management role or something like that, you're going to need soft skills for sure. Um, as far as what the company prefers, again, it just depends on what they're hiring for, and it depends on what they're looking for from their team members. There might be a company that likes hiring less communicative devs because then they don't have a lot of chatter in the Slack channels, or they don't have a lot of chatter on the floor. They're just all locked in and working. Maybe that's the culture that they have, and so they actually like somebody who's maybe not as talkative as people like me, right? So that could be a good thing for certain companies. So I wouldn't say every company's looking for somebody to be great at soft skills. I think it differs based on the type of job you're applying for. Obviously, the more interaction you have with clients, the more soft skills you're going to need. The more you interact with developers from a leadership standpoint, the more soft skills you're going to need. So if you're just going to write code, it's probably not a huge deal. But I would really encourage anybody to work on the soft skills just because you never know what opportunities are going to open up for you because you've improved your soft skills. Because it really does open up more doors. It's not saying that that's what companies are looking for specifically, but it does open up more opportunities if you are a better communicator um, and better at interacting with people one on one and in a group, obviously. But yeah, it is interesting to when you get a lot of developers together, just to kind of see the different nuances of soft skills and interaction. So a couple of years ago, I was at Laracon, and one of the things they do at Laracon, so the company I work for had a booth or a table, and so I was back there, just greeting people and talking to people and things like that. So one of the things that Laracon does is they have like this drawing, and they'll draw for multiple things like a MacBook and earbuds and all kinds of things. And so, but what they do is they give you like this paper, and you have to go around and get a certain number of stamps from the companies that are there who are have their tables and showing their products and services and things like that. And so it's just interesting to see the different people that come around, and as both an attendee at the conference as well as the fact that you have a stamp to stamp people's stuff, why they're coming to the table. They're not really that interested in what you have to sell or you're trying to promote, right? So they're not really interested in you. They're interested in trying to get the stamps that they need to get into the drawing. But like that is a great example of viewing people's differing levels of soft skills, because some devs will come up and they'll just like they try, but it's very obvious. It's like, so who are you guys, right? Like that who are you guys, or what do you guys do? Like those are kind of the two like basic questions to get the thing started. And then it's like, hey, would you mind stamping my thing? It's a very short conversation, because really all they're looking for is the stamp, right? But then you've got other devs that come up and they ask more questions, and it's just interesting to see that dynamic. Some devs have the soft skills, and some devs don't have the soft skills. But you've got to have enough to at least ask for the stamp to get the stamp, right? But we've had a lot of great conversations with devs there as well too. So interesting. But anyway, that to your point, Ming, yeah, I mean, anytime you get a group of developers together, you're gonna definitely see those varying levels of soft skills. And I don't know, again, that there's any specific level that you need to be at to get a position, but the better your soft skills are, the more doors will open to you. So there's that. DJ says, have you tried React before? What are your thoughts on React? So we're actually using React in the DeepPockets project. So yes, we're doing it a little bit differently than a lot of people are doing it these days. We actually have it in the Laravel framework. So we've included it kind of the way React was originally designed, honestly. But I do have other experience with it. We actually have two projects that I'm overseeing at the company that I'm working for now that are React projects. Both of those are using the Next.js framework. So they are standalone front ends. Both of them are using the Material UI framework, CSS framework, which is what we're using in this project because I'm familiar with it because of that. So I would say I have a decent amount of knowledge of React. I wouldn't say that I'm a React expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I certainly have used it. It's not my favorite front-end framework. Vue is my favorite front-end framework. I feel like the way that Vue does it feels more like normal programming. I'm not a huge fan of JSX. I just don't. It doesn't feel right writing it the way that React wants it to be written. I prefer, and again, there's not tons of differences between like Vue and React, but there's enough differences in how it's constructed, how a component is constructed, that I just feel I like Vue 3 much better than I liked React. And that's just a personal preference. I don't think that either one is better than the other necessarily. That's just my preference. I would not typically choose React. React was chosen by the community early on in the process, so that's why we went with it. But yeah, we're not using the Next framework for this project, although that does, in my opinion, help some of the using the React We're not using Next because Laravel handles a lot of stuff that Next does, like routing and things like that. Um, but yeah, I do have experience with React. That's what we're using here. Not my favorite, but it's grown on me. I'm used to it now, so I can use it without it being like React. I hate React. Why are we doing React? I can use it now, and I don't have to have a barf bag with me every time I'm using it. and we're using it on this project, so it is what it is. But my preference would be Vue 3 specifically with the not the options API. The shoot, I can't think of the name. Uh, the other one, the new API instead of the options API. Man, why I am just really forgetting stuff today. Vue.js. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Let's see, docs. Do-do-do-do. Well, where is it at? There's the options API. Composition API, that's what it is. Composition API. So I prefer that structure. It's more like, to me, it's more like real JavaScript. The options API was annoying, in my opinion. It's one of the things that I didn't like about Vue. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I like that. I like Vue better. One of the things I'm looking at right now, getting into, is Livewire. So Livewire is what the Laravel community is kind of moving towards more. Um, it's PHP, but it compiles to JavaScript. So you build PHP components, and it compiles to JavaScript for reactivity, um, which is pretty cool. Because then you can write more PHP and less JavaScript, so you can focus more. If you're more of a backend dev, more of a PHP developer, then it's helpful for people like that. Somebody like me who knows both front end and back end, I would still gravitate more towards Vue, but I'm interested in learning Livewire too, and jumping into that world. So we'll see how that might change over time. Hopefully that answers your question, DJ Batman. Let's see. Did I meet somebody from called Leon from 100 Devs? Were they there this year, Ming? Because I didn't go this year. We had a couple other people go. I wasn't able to go this year. So if you're talking about this year, if it was last year, I honestly don't remember. I don't remember most of the people that I met. But I wouldn't be surprised if Leon was there. I would assume he probably stopped by the table. Would be my guess. This year, yeah, I wasn't there. 100 devs. 100 devs does sound familiar. But again, I wasn't there, so unfortunately I didn't see him. So sorry about that. maybe next year. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna go next year or not. So we'll see. It's expensive, but if you're interested in the Laravel universe, it's definitely informative. It's a good place to meet some other companies and other devs. I think there was like 800 devs. Yeah, 800 devs at this one, something like that. So definitely a lot of developers there. A really good conference for the most part. If you're interested, you can actually find it on YouTube. All the conference speakers are on YouTube. Primogen was on there. Pretty short thing at the very end. Would have been nice if he had said more. But I think he actually meant to say more. It just kind of went fast. So I'm not dogging him or anything, but it just would have been nice to hear more from him. So that was one of the reasons I would have liked to have gone, but I didn't get the opportunity to go this year. So too much travel for me actually uh, during this month and a half or so. So we thought it best for me not to be going, so I could manage the projects I'm working on. All right, we are right at 2 hours. I just want to see if there's any other quick questions that I can answer for you before I sign off. for the day. Don't forget to look for new tickets this week. I will be putting out new tickets, maybe some additions to the designs, depends on how much we need to get done in the next set of tickets, how many people we have working on them. Kelly, I'll get you added to make sure that you have access to everything. There'll be multiple things. There'll be a repository, the project in GitHub, the UI designs. I'll try to make sure you have everything there. If for some reason you run into any issues, hit us up in the Discord channel. We'll make sure and get you squared away with that. Yeah. Ming says, sometimes I get trauma from what happened in my last role. How do I overcome that for my new potential role? I don't know if there's, I don't know that I would say that you're going to overcome it because it's a part of your history. It's a part of your experience. What I would say is don't try to overcome what happened. Just try to learn from what happened. Right? So what happened with the last job should give you ideas of other questions to ask. So it's not about overcoming something, it's about learning from it. Um, to me, overcoming means you're still involved in it, right? You're still dealing with it. Like it's still an actual thing. Right now, the job is done, so you're not really, there's nothing really to overcome other than maybe your feelings about it. And I can see that overcoming your feelings, but I think, feelings, at the end of the day, feelings should be channeled to drive you forward to action, right? So the way you feel about what happened should drive you to think of questions that you can ask in new interviews to help you try to ferret out who's giving you good feedback and response and who's not. Who might be lying to you. If they're saying similar things to the last company that you worked for, that might be a red flag, So now you have the ability to be more discerning because you've experienced something that has let you down, right? So from an overcoming standpoint, you're not overcoming the situation. The only overcoming you have is overcoming your feelings. And I don't think you overcome your feelings. I think you just allow those feelings to fuel better questions in the future. I know that's a bit broad and maybe not as helpful as you might want, but I don't know that I don't think most things in life are things that we overcome. I think they're things that we endure and we learn from. There are some things that we might overcome. So, for example, in coding, we're gonna run across bugs, and squashing a bug is overcoming a bug. That's something that you are doing to get past the thing. I think a lot of things in life are not necessarily things that we do something to get past. They're things that we endure, and especially when it comes to jobs, a lot of times, especially a job that you lose that's not necessarily your fault. It's not an overcoming situation; it's an enduring situation, and so enduring the struggle and then growing from the struggle, that is what we need, not necessarily overcoming the struggle, because overcoming the struggle would be like suing the company or something like that. I don't know, that's an action that is taken to produce a result that diminishes the problem, right? So that's what overcoming is. That's the Dave Welch definition of overcoming, just off the top of my head, right? It's actions that you take to produce a result to reduce the problem, whatever that problem is. And so the problem is really more your own feelings and your emotion. So the only overcoming you can do is make a choice to allow that to fuel better questions, motivate you to come up with better questions and ask more questions maybe in the process of how companies are structured, how they interact with their developers, what their expectations are, things like that will help you make a better decision in the future. So let's see. Last questions from Mel. What color will your shirt be on the next live stream? I don't know. I don't think far at all. Mel. In fact, I almost grabbed a green shirt. I cannot. One of these days, I'm going to move where I have the live stream. I just don't have a really great spot in my house that's secluded. That looks decent. So with this green screen back here, I can't wear green. Green is my favorite color, and I can't wear green shirts. And I did. I grabbed a green shirt to put on, and I was like, oh, doggone it, I can't wear this because I've got the green screen. Um, so it most likely will be blue. It might be red. Blue and red tend to be the ones that I wear the most, or gray. I have worn a few black, but yeah, it's going to be probably blue or gray, blue or red, most likely. So, but no, I'm not going to really think about it at all. I'm just going to grab one, and it's probably one that you've seen many times. So there's that. Get some wallpaper with a brick pattern. That is a good point. I could probably just get some wallpaper or just paint it. Maybe I just need to paint it. Because that's the thing. So we used to have a little TV that was mounted up here that nobody ever used or watched. So there's like, the TV holes, the mounting holes and stuff in the wall. And I just need to actually take the green screen down, get it cleaned up and paint it. And that's what I really need to do. But I'm too lazy to do that at this point. But then I can wear my green shirts again. Wear a dark shirt next time, like a dark night shirt. I do have a black Darth Vader shirt. I don't think I have any Batman shirts, actually. Most of my shirts, I actually got called out for this, and I'm going to put this in a video in the near future, but I got called out for wearing a lot of Star Wars stuff, because I've got like 3 or 4 Star Wars shirts, or at least shirts that talk about Star Wars type things. They may not be technically Star Wars authorized shirts, but there you go. Yes, the Dark Knight shirt while baking a cake. I'll have to see if I can find a Dark Knight shirt then. We'll see. I don't know. I'll have to see if I'm cheap though, so it'll have to be something at the thrift store. That's awesome. You should wear a polka dot shirt. I'm not really a polka dot kind of guy. Sorry. Yeah, James Earl Jones. That was sad news for sure. But he was up there, 93. He had a long life, a long career too. So, man, that guy had an awesome voice. That was awesome. But yeah, sad to see him go. Excuse me. I don't know what it is. If it's just that my voice gets tired or what, but I get about halfway through or 3/4 of the way through this live stream, I start yawning. You're not making me tired. I'm sorry. It's not you guys. It's me. It's not you. It's me. So anyway, it is 5 past now, almost 10 past. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for today. Thanks for jumping on, guys. Thanks for the great interaction, especially early on, talking about coffee and gas versus electric and all kinds of fun things. You never know what we're going to talk about here on the Dev Mentor Dave live stream on a Saturday morning. But thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you all asking questions and interacting with me. It's one of the things that I look forward to every week. So I really enjoy jumping on here and talking to you guys and sharing my thoughts, and hopefully it's helpful on your development journey. And if not, go away. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't go away. Don't go away. Just tell me what you need. So, anyway, have a great weekend, guys. I will see you all next Saturday. I am working on some times to try to get some more videos up. So hopefully we'll have some more videos up in the next few weeks. But have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week or sooner. Thanks.